Welcome back to my classroom. It's a beautiful day. Matt Dominguez with another teacher-to-teacher tip on the Truman Show. Like I've mentioned, I like to do direct instruction, discussion, and then story. So I want to end Act 2 with an amazing opportunity for us to invite students into the tension and plot structure of their own story by looking at some famous ones that can be pretty culturally relevant. I used to use Alice in Wonderland. That's a great one. Matrix was fabulous. I also use Inception to help us try and figure out Faith Island and what's really real, and doing some stuff with the little totems that we have to trust to understand reality. Those are all great. My favorite is The Truman Show. So if you have to pick one, I would run with Truman Show. And what you'll do is, I like to just, teacher tip is show the trailer for the movie, so it helps kids understand the context of it. It's a super safe, wonderful movie, so they could all watch it. It's really good. But then I show this clip, this last clip. It lasts about 20, 30 minutes. So you got to give yourself a full class period or even an extended class period if you want to create discussion. But the tips here are to set up the connection between the Truman Show and Allegory of the Cave. This false reality that he's living in, even though it is real. And I like it because Allegory of the Cave lesson is dark, shadowy cave, and it's all metaphor. Truman Show is this huge set with a fake sun and houses that are real houses with real people walking around, but it's all fake because they're all lying to him. Or at least they're partially lying to him. And the beauty of it is, true man gets an inkling that something's wrong. And the reason why I show this to the students is that he has an inkling on philosophy and theology. He has an inkling that something's wrong, and he is building some evidence that his trust in what he thought was really real, takes us all the way back to Elisha and the servant, is starting to crumble. And he wants to understand what's really going on. This is an invitation for students for the rest of the semester to participate in the process, the actual story of how do I find out what's really going on. The reason why I like this last clip is I challenge the students directly and say, what are you willing to do? It's hard. Truman has to go through this storm, although it's a fake one, and the creator, although he's a false creator of a false reality, wants to keep him in, but he actually can't and won't. Although he could, but he won't. He realizes that Truman is a free being, and he's going to let Truman pursue truth. He says this really great word. He says he'll turn around. He'll be too scared. I think that's where we need to create an environment and to understand that perfect love casts out fear, and we need to push through whatever the enemy throws at us and whatever God allows us to be tested in on this journey, as hard as that might be, to push through to that great moment where Truman touches the wall of his fake reality and realizes, I knew it! I knew there was something wrong here. I knew that this was partial truth, that this reality is part of a bigger reality, and although it's real, it's not the fullness of reality. And he turns around and kisses that false creator goodbye and steps out into a bigger, greater, fuller reality. It's a great moment. I think there's also something that's essential to keep in the students' minds. I love the moment, personally, where Truman turns and he says to whatever is out there, and in his mind it could be God, but he says, you're gonna have to kill me. And I pause it and I look into the students' faces and say, Truman is willing to die to figure out what's really going on. And I'm not quite sure many of us really understand the gravity. Scripture talks all about having to die to self, take up your cross daily. We need to let our old selves die, like Romans, right? And to realize, like, this is a life or death plot structure. And the enemy wants to keep us in our cave. He wants to keep us in false reality. And we are invited into this journey, albeit probably a very hard one at times, to finding and pursuing truth that sets us free. And to even go beyond the Truman Show. All stories point to the true story. And in our story, the truth that sets us free is a person who is inviting into a loving relationship. Now, Truman steps into a relationship of love with a person outside that fake reality in his story. For us, it's the person of Christ, the fullness of love and the fullness of reality. It's a great moment. It's a great class. Don't miss it. And really lean into it. Invite the students into this journey and this process of going further up and further in.